Number 33 and 34 use these instructions. Write the mixed number as an improper fraction and the improper fraction as a mixed number. So number 33 is the improper fraction, and we will write it as a mixed number. And basically that comes from division. 19 divided by 4. 4 into 19. Well, let's see, 4 into 19 goes 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. When we subtract, we get 3. That's a remainder, but how we're going to use that remainder is to say that 19/4 is equivalent to 4 and 3/4. Let me write that down here. 19/4 is equivalent to or equal to 4 and 3/4. And that's the answer we're looking for. We wrote the improper fraction as a mixed number. Number 34, we kind of have to do the opposite. We have to write the mixed number as an improper fraction. And that requires that we multiply 6 times the denominator 8 and add 5. All divided by the denominator 8, because this will be in terms of eighths. 6 times 8 is 48, and plus 5, we'll see that in a moment. 48 plus 5 is 53 eighths. And that is the improper fraction equivalent. 53 eighths is equivalent to 6 and 5/8. Number 35. Find the LCD, that's the least common denominator, of this pair of fractions. Then build up each fraction to have that common denominator. The LCD, least common denominator, is the same as the least common multiple. So that we want the least common multiple of 30 and 45. And there are a number of techniques. One is the division technique that we saw previously with the greatest common factor, but it involves actually more than just the common factors. Let's use this technique, the division method, to find the least common multiple of 30 and 45. First of all, we look and we see that 5 is a factor of each of them. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 5 into 45 goes 9 times. Then with 6 and 9, we have a common factor of 3. 3 divides into 6 twice, into 9 3 times, and the next common factor is 1. So we really don't need to go any further. But the least common denominator is found using this set of numbers right here. So the LCD is 5 times 3 times 2 times 3. This happens to be 90 if you multiply it out. That means we're going to take 7/30 and we're going to multiply it by something, by a form of 1, to make it into a fraction with a denominator of 90. In this case, we need to multiply by 3 over 3. And what we get is 21 over 90. We must do the same with the other fraction, 8 over 45. In this case, though, we're going to multiply by 2 over 2. And this will give us 16 over 90. And that's all that's required, is that we build those fractions up to have that least common denominator. Alright, number 36. The instructions here are to evaluate and simplify. Write improper fractions as mixed numbers. Okay, when we multiply fractions, here we have 3 fractions multiplied, we can divide out common factors between the numerators and denominators. Here we have 3 and 2, 5 over 6, and 8 over 15, 8/15. And you might be able to see some of those factors that will divide. For example, 2 divides evenly into itself once and into 8 4 times. Similarly, 3 and 6 have a common factor. 3 divides into 3 once and into 6 twice. 5 and 15 have a common factor of 5. So we divide 5 into 5, goes once, into 15 3 times. We actually can do one more dividing out, but I'm going to see what we have so far. 1 times 1 times 4 in the numerator is 4 over 1 times 2 times 3 is 6 in the denominator, but these do have a common factor of 2, so we divide out by 2 each of them, and the final result then is 2/3. Number 37, division of fractions. This requires us to write the second fraction as its reciprocal, and we change division to multiplication. So we have those two changes. Division becomes multiplication, and the second fraction becomes its reciprocal. And now we do just as we did in the previous, where we try to simplify by numerators and denominators only. With 21 and 14, we can factor out a 7, and we're left with 3 in the denominator there and 2 when we divide out 7 from those. And in 10 and 15, we're going to divide out 5. 5 into 10 goes 2 times. 5 into 15 goes 3 times. That color's a little bit hard to read. Hopefully it won't be an issue. But in the end, let's see what we've got here. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. And we look to see if that can be simplified any further. But no, it cannot. They have nothing in common. So there is the answer. For number 38, we're asked to divide mixed numbers, but before we can, we must rewrite each as an improper fraction. And so it's the technique of multiplying. 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 1 is 25. This becomes 25/6. Divided by 2 times the 9 is 18, plus 2 is 20/9. As before, we must write this as 25/6 times 9/20. Write it as multiplying the reciprocal. Okay, we're going to be able to divide out 25 and 20 both have a common factor of 5, so we have 5 and 4. And likewise, 6 and 9 have a common factor of 3, so we get 2 and 3. And this becomes 15/8. One more step though, because the original numbers were mixed numbers, our answers should also be mixed numbers if it ends up like it does here as an improper fraction. So we must rewrite that one more step as 8 and goes into 15 one time with a remainder of 7, so it's 1 and 7/8. Alright, next problem, number 39. We're asked to add two fractions together. Some important things are, one, they are like terms because they both have an m, and they are like fractions because they both have a denominator of 24, which is the best way to go. It's the only way to go. You've got to have common denominators to add fractions. So let's see. It will equal something m, and it will be 24ths. All we have to do now is add the numerators. 13 plus 5 is 18. So 18/24 m. However, we do not want to leave it like this. We want to simplify if we possibly can, and we can. 18/24 we can divide out a common factor of 6. 6 goes into 18 3 times, and into 24 4 times. So our final result is 3/4 m, which could also be written, so I'll say or, as 3m over 4. Either way is fine. Number 40. Here we are subtracting fractions. Unfortunately, they do not already have common denominators. One thing I can see though is that 5 divides evenly into 35. In fact, all we're missing is a factor of 7 from the denominator. Of course, we don't just multiply the denominator by 7, we must multiply the numerator by 7. And this will get us common denominators of 35. So we get 29 over 35 minus, here we get 2 times 7 is 14, 5 times 7 is 35. Now that they have common denominator of 35, we can subtract, and 29 minus 14 is 15. We're not done though, because this can be simplified. They have a factor of 5 that can be divided out of each. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and into 35 7 times. So the final result is 3/7. Number 41. We're adding, and we've got fractions that do not have common denominator. The least common denominator of 10 and 15, I'll write over here, LCD, is 30. So we want to build each one up to have a common denominator of 30. This is a situation where in the book I show it helpful to write these as something like 2 and 7/10 plus 3 and 7/15. And then we're going to adjust and build up each denominator to be 30. And so they multiply the first by 3 over 3, and the second fraction by 2 over 2. And what we are now looking at is 2 and 21/30 plus 3 and 14/30. And we can add those now. 2 plus 3 is 5, the whole numbers. The fractions 21/30 and 14/30 is how many 30ths? Well, 21 14 is 35/30. We can simplify this fraction, but it's also improper. So we can do simplifying first and then take care of the improper fraction, or we can take care of the improper fraction and then simplify. I recommend, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to simplify first. So I'm going to divide 5 into 35 and get 7, 5 into 30 to give us 6. So now the number that we're looking at is 5 and 7/6. But as I said, because 7/6 is improper, we're going to make this into 1 and 1/6. And now 5 plus 1 and 1/6 is simply 6 and 1/6. That was very involved. It's important to be careful step by step.